kids. Fuck the kids? Yeah.
When I say, who's the master? You say,
What is up, guys? Showing up the King here, back with another toy video, and today I'm finally able to bring you my review for the NECA Goliath Ultimate Action Figure from the series Gargoyles. I apologize, I wanted to bring this review to you guys a couple of days ago, but unfortunately FedEx decided to delay my delivery for 2 days. I was supposed to get this on Thursday, I believe, and then they got delayed to Friday, then it got delayed again to Saturday, and then finally it showed up today on Sunday, which is the day that I am recording this video. But without further ado, let's get into this review. Alright, so first off is you can see that this is a big ass box. Like, definitely Goliath is a huge 7-inch figure. We have some artwork here on the front. We have some product information here on the side. We have some poses and other promotional information here as well. And on the side we have more NECA, top and the bottom. And then again with NECA we have the window. And you open it up to get the figure. And as you can see here, he looks amazing. The tail is long. The wingspan is even longer. Get closer up so you guys can see. It comes with an alternate head, alternate hands, a book, and a jalapeno. And we'll talk about that accessory later. Let's get this thing open and get on with the review. Alright guys, we are back. The package is open. Let's get this review started. So first things first, let's take a look at these wings. My God, the wingspan on this thing is enormous. This thing kind of reminds me of the Ghidorah from SH Figure Arts. Gotta be careful though, because you know NECA is very brittle. There we go. So we got... Ooh, look at these wings. I mean, I love the detail. I love the veins shooting through. Almost like a bat, the texture. Again, other than a little hinge here, there is no movability, and it looks like this is on a ratchet. Alright. Look at the tail. Hopefully it's a bendy tail. Alright, so we have Goliath's tail. Again, this is on a rotator. But again, is it bendy? Oh, it is. Thank God. So the tail is bendy, which is fantastic, because if it wasn't bendy, then that would have been a huge, huge loss for NECA. This thing already is going to take up a lot of space. So we have the tail. And for those who don't know, Gargoyles was a cartoon that used to come on back in the 90s. It had a huge following. I won't even call it a cult following, but it definitely had a following. Now, this is a book Goliath loves to read. I don't think this was the one of the spell books that they had, because it would have had the name of it on the front, but it looks to me just to be a book, and again, it's not really legible. But again, it's a nice little stand-in. It's kind of worn on the back, has little notches and things. It's pretty good. And let's get this, enough playing around. Let's get this bad boy. Alright, we're back. Just wanted to get him out of the packaging. Had to do some cutting, so I didn't think I wanted to see that. Alright, so we have Goliath out of the packaging, and let's take a closer look at him. And for the most part, I think NECA nailed this look. I think with the head sculpt, his angry face sculpt, his angry head sculpt is damn near perfect, and his civilian, like his regular head sculpt, is pretty accurate as well. The only thing that kind of creeps me out a little bit is the eyeballs and the cheekbones too a little bit. It just makes him look a little weird, but it's still a pretty good facsimile of what Goliath looks like. Again, this is a 7-inch scale figure. And one other thing that I want to talk about straight off the rip is the feet. He does have peg holes to help him stand. And without me even putting these wings on, I'm going to tell you that you're going to definitely want to put some stands on his feet, because I don't think he'll be able to stand up fully on his own. Because even like right now, on a pretty flat surface, he'll stand, but he's a little wobbly, as you can see there. So definitely make sure that you get some action figure stands, because I can tell you now, once I put these wings on, he will probably be a tipping hazard. So let's go ahead and take, again, a closer look. It looks like from the front, from the side, from the back here. You can lift up his hair, which is malleable, and then that's where you would put his wings in. And then underneath here is where you would insert his tail. I love the structure. I love the shading that they put in as well, so you can see here in his chest muscles. He looks good. Now, again, this is a line that I'm especially excited about, because, again, this show had such a rich history, such a plethora of characters that would be great in toy form, that this line, I really hope NECA goes full steam ahead with Demona, with Brooklyn, with Bronx, with Xanatos, with the Pack, with the because again, this show is actually steeped in Norse mythology as well. So like you get like all of the, you get Avalon, you get Odin, you get all of that stuff. So it's really good to see this line coming out. And again, this was a show, like, I grew up in the 80s, but my prime like childhood time when it came to like watching and being like a kid was in the 90s, and this was it. It was this, Darkwing Duck, the 90s X-Men, the 90s Spider-Man, like Transformers, all of that stuff. And I'm talking about the remakes of Transformers, not the 80s Transformer. Like, this is the time that I was watching this stuff. So let's go ahead and get this thing put together. Simply here, the tail goes, oh, this is kind of weird, just shoving it up his butt pretty much. And it goes on like that. And then, of course, you can bend it however you feel like it, which, again, is awesome. So now he has his tail. And let's get these wings on. And I wonder if it got it mixed up out of the box, obviously. And let's see if it tells you on here which side is left and right. It really doesn't, but you can kind of figure out from there. So we just flip this up and push. Yep, easy enough. And we turn him. And surprisingly, that went in pretty easily. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Again, like I said before, with that wingspan, there's just no way this thing is standing on its own. So you're probably going to need the tail to kind of help you even facilitate him standing. So I'm going to try that now. Yeah. I'll be right back. All right, so I took some time to play around with the figure and get him in a position where he would actually be posable. So let's start talking about a little bit about the goods and the bad. Again, the good is that I think that the sculpt of the body, the color is fantastic. I think the loincloth, the gold on the belt buckle looks great. I did have a little bit of paint rub on the leg here, which is not that big of a deal. Again, I do love that the tail itself is bendable. I love the accessories. Let's take a look at his angry face, which in my opinion is my favorite face. We have the, and as you guys know, that when the gargoyles get upset, their eyes turn white and then they glow. And again, this is a really good look to that. I think they did a fantastic job. Again, even with his angry face, his hair still is movable so that you can do that, and I will swap it out in a second. Overall, I love it. Now, let's talk about the bad. So, those wings are enormous. I love them, but they create a huge problem. They create a problem because, again, as I mentioned earlier, with the SH Figure Arts, SH Monster Arts Ghidorah, he had enormous wings. And those wings were so big that the wings actually weighed more than the actual figure itself. And I see NECA decided to go with the same similar pattern where the wings for Goliath are enormous to the point where they weigh more than the figure, and they end up causing a problem. Again, I was able to pose him with one of my Mortal Kombat stands and the tail. So once you do that, you can sort of get him in a position where he can kind of stand up on his own. But honestly, I would not recommend you putting this figure up on the shelf without it, because without the Mortal Kombat stand and the tail, he cannot stand on his own. And because there is a limited range of motion with the actual wings, they just end up causing problems. And again, you can move them downward like this, but then it creates another problem where in the back, the wings end up bumping. So you can only move them in a certain pattern. And one other thing that I noticed as well is that it creates a situation where you can't see the face straight up. So like you can move it up a little bit so you can see it like that. But again, sometimes it ends up pushing his head down a little bit because of the friction that it causes with the wings. Now, what could have been done to alleviate this problem is by not making this one whole set of a wing, more so like breaking it down, kind of like how you would see on like a foldable wing. Again, it probably wouldn't look as good, but it would give you more options, because one of the greatest poses that the gargoyles do is kind of where they take their wings and they wrap them around themselves like a cloak. And again, that would have been awesome. But again, I'm not going to sit here and act like an expert where I could say exactly what would be the best thing. The only thing I would say is that they would give us wings like this, but then maybe include wings that kind of fold over, or something that you can just kind of drape over to get that look. So that could be something that they can do in the future, where they would give us these wings, but they also give us alternate wings where it can kind of just fit over the body, still attached to the back, but then kind of do it so you can have that cloak look. But again, the wings themselves are good, but it also creates a problem as well. So let's go ahead and switch out the head sculpt. So just should be able to just tug up on that, and then switch out with the angry face with no issues, hopefully. Kind of works. So, and again, as you can see here now, we kind of have the Goliath angry face, but again, creates a problem when you want him to look straight up. And one thing I will give NECA credit on, it looks like they did do a better job with the articulation, but in order to show you that actually I'm gonna need to take these wings out, because again, it just kind of hinders the situation. All right, let's talk articulation. So the leg can go straight out. I would classify this as a single jointed knee, but it still goes back pretty far. We have no ankle pivot, but again, the foot can still rotate fully up and go that far back. And then this part of the foot itself moves on its own as well. So I guess it does have a toe hinge. His arm can go out that far, and probably further once I loosen it up. Can bend down about that far, and it comes apart. But again, this is NECA we're talking about, but it snaps back in place. The elbows are double jointed, which is good. The wrists move, bicep swivel. He looks good. Again, I am a fan of the figure. Again, I just think that they need a little bit more R&D for the future of the line, because again, those wings, you want to pose him with the wings because you can't really pose Goliath without the wings. But again, as you can see, you can pose him with the wings. Again, I just strongly recommend anybody buying this figure, make sure you have him with a stand. Either one of those like flight stands from SH Figure Arts, use one of these Mortal Kombat stands, whatever you can do, but just don't sit him on the table by himself with the wings, because again, it is a fall risk. So I'm going to go ahead and take a pause for the calls, come back with some size comparisons, and we'll get out of here. All right, in conclusion, what do I need to say about this Goliath? All right, so this is a tough one. Usually I love to give glowing reviews, like 10s, but I can't give this a 10. I definitely think, again, the positives are the paint sculpt. I'll even give them a positive on the articulation, because I think for a NECA figure, this thing is fantastically created. Again, it has double jointed elbows. I mean, it has the single jointed legs, but again, I think overall, this is a well sculpted figure. Even the tail, I love how it's a bendy wire tail, but again, I think that is for a reason. I think the paint applications on the thing is amazing. I think the accessories that came with it is amazing. Again, the only big negative that I will say, other than a couple of paint issues, again, I had a paint mark on the back that was off. I had some brown on the leg, is the wings. I think that's kind of where NECA messed up. But again, it's kind of hard to say the reason why they messed up is because, again, I love that these wings look like this. I love the way that they're spread out, but they only can do that. Again, I think it's the same issue that people had with the SH Figure Arts Ghidorah, because again, once it had that wingspan out, you could only really do it like the wingspan like this, or you can kind of move them up. They can't go down like straight down to the ground. They can only be spread like this. And again, as I was talking about, it could have been easily remedied, because as you can see here on the front of the box, you have him in the pose that usually that the gargoyles are in, where they have these two hooks wrapped around them like a cloak. NECA could have included something like that, where you could take those wings off and then kind of use this and give it like a little bendy wire feel to it, where it can still look like wings, but it can give us some kind of playability where we can have some other type of poses. But you know, gargoyles don't stand like this all the time. So again, it's just a little weird that they went with this direction. So again, I have to give them some points minus for that. But like I said, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons real quick. Here we have a SH Figure Arts Goku Imagination Works, which again is also on a 7-inch scale. And then we have the new He-Man from the Masterverse, which I absolutely hate. Again, I never actually did a review on this thing, but God knows I hate this He-Man so much. That face is just, he looks so derpy. Look at that face. I know this is not a He-Man review, but look at that face. That face sculpt is just horrible. But anyway, so, you know, you have him, He-Man, on a 7-inch scale, standing next to Goliath. And I guess we'll bring in Battle Cat as well. If they bring in Bronx, you know, he would need to be of that size in order to fit the line. And again, I think they would definitely do that. So again, overall, if I had to give Goliath a score, I would give him a 7 out of 10. Again, I definitely think if you are a Gargoyle fan, you want this figure. I just think NECA needs to do another version of this, which they ultimately will, and they need to give us some different wing options. Again, let me know what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. This is Show of the King, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.